don't know. We'll see. We'll see or we're tracking this together. We're going to get there one step at a time. But I feel that we're going to really understand these energies better of Black Moon Lilith in Taurus when she conjuncts Uranus. That's when we're going to see it. Taurus is overall a more laid back sign than Aries. As I said, Aries is very expressive. And let me just pause really quick. Are you guys, is my image okay? Is my camera working okay? Okay, because I got a little feedback from some sessions earlier this week that my camera was like freezing. So I'll make sure. So Black Moon Lilith in Aries is very outspoken. She's already outspoken. Black Moon Lilith will not hold back. Will not hold back. That's why it's very important she's in the right frequency. Otherwise, it can be dangerous. In Aries, it's a little tricky because Aries is very much about the primordial impulse. Remember the archetype of Aries in the first house, for those of you who watched it? This archetype is about that primordial impulse. It's supposed to act. It's the will, it's the desire, it's the action. You put Black Moon Lilith there, conjunct the will, the desire, the passion, the action, the aggression, the sexual energy. What do you think we're going to have? This has been our theme for a long time now this year, especially when Mars started to come closer and closer to Black Moon Lilith, and now it's like at its hottest. So we're seeing this theme of death be very prevalent because of the energies that we're working with. And this is also being very, like, it's being felt in many different ways. So whether it's being felt by you or by people around you or loved ones, I have people calling me, my friends telling me like, oh my God, I'm having suicidal thoughts. I've never had this before. I'm like, hang on. You are empathic. You are feeling stuff from the world. Hang on, just 2 months. You can do it. The script is about to change. Like, things are getting really intense right now. So, and not to mention the energy within a lot of us that is also culminating for that explosive frequency to also want to be expressed. We have to be very careful with that, very careful with that. Because this energy is going to backfire. Remember, Mars is retrograde. Mars is retrograde right now. This is when everybody wants to fire everywhere at once. And that's why, Paul said, I'm taking a backseat from the news and everything. I'm like, good for you, Paul, because this is where all the big boys are going to come out and like start misfiring, like, bah, 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 bah. And then the people that don't understand what's happening, it's the fear, it rises, and they, So what we can do is understand the cycles. We can know when cycles are going to change, what energies they're going to be bringing, so we can be kind of a step ahead of these scenarios. And we can also be aware of ways that we can use these energies. And before we can even use the energies, we need to be aware of what the probabilities are that we have with them. So this is why the transits here become very important to understand in a lunar return chart, because the transits are communicating to you. They will show up every month in your lunar return in a different way. And the transits, again, for those that don't remember, transits are real-time alignments in the sky. What's happening now, today. A solar return is something that happened on your birthday. It's still alive, but it happened on your birthday. We have charts. The progress chart is a very slow cycle, completely different chart. Transits, it's what's happening now, always. So transits are always happening to everybody now. But the way they fit into your lunar return chart is how they're speaking to you. So let's now, there's some things going on in the chat. Yeah, I was going to ask how you all are feeling. If you want to write in the chat box, or if you want to mute yourself, and just one or a few words of how you've been feeling the Black Moon Lilith energy recently. Now that I've already shared some of the themes, it can be aggressive, it can be dark, it can be manipulative, it can be angry, it can even be related to death, but it's also a very deep, deep, deep Pluto-like frequency that draws you into deep mysteries of spirit. This is where a lot of deep esoteric gifts get unlocked and experiences, and it's not your average love and light everyday spiritual experience. It's not like Neptune type of meditation where you just bliss out and you're like one with everything. The Black Moon Lilith spiritual experience is the raw and the real and it's very Pluto-like. So if you want to share a word or two, whether through the microphone or in the chat, of how you've been feeling these energies this month, please do so. Let's see here.
I'll go. I'm just, since I have the double whammy, I have transiting on my Juno and Uranus squaring my natal Black Moon Lilith in Aquarius in the 3rd house. For me, it's been like not being afraid to communicate and show parts of myself to the world that I had previously kept hidden, because, and I've just finished a transition from my last lunar return to this current one, in which Saturn was my previous ruler, Mercury is now my current ruler. Just realizing that the lessons Saturn had been attempting to instill in me is that my responsibility to the world, if I want to have people in my life that will meet these pieces of myself that I had kept hidden, is to show up that way. I have to give the world a place to meet me at if I want people to meet me there.
Yes, and this is a very beautiful thing all over as well, because with this energy of Black Moon Lilith so prominent, together with the dynamic of the make it or break it, which is simultaneously happening, that's where all the focus has been on the previous classes, right?
Not holding back those expressions of myself despite any outside pressure, because I know eventually the people who can handle and meet me in those places will eventually show up if I keep doing it.
Yes. So these make it or break it and Black Moon Lilith points that are happening in our chart, they're happening very strongly. And the beautiful thing is that for a lot of us, it's also showing us where we can also bring a little more of that outspoken side of us. Because again, when we look at the Black Moon Lilith frequency, it is, again, that repressed, it's tendency to be repressed. It's repressed what? Usually abuse we received when we were young, or other things projected from other people, and just a lot of other things that we're working with for cycles and generations. So it's repressed and it needs to be expressed. It needs to be looked at by us. It needs to be seen, and it needs to be released in a balanced way. So a lot of people through all of this are finding their courage, are finding a lot of points of power with this make it or break it release happening in their charts right now as well. So this is an energy that is also helping us not only navigate, but to achieve our powers in new ways. And you can find out a lot about this energy by looking at what house it's showing up for you in your lunar return. Okay, so Paul's saying super intense. Sharon, your dad passed away. Yes. Sharon, I had a session with you, my love, and we definitely talked a lot about this frequency for you, sweetie. Had a little blow up with siblings. You're definitely feeling this Black Moon Lilith energy. So Sharon is someone that is having this Black Moon Lilith energy very prominent in her chart. And some people have it more than others right now. This means that situations may be more heightened revolving around this energy. So, for example, our dear Sharon, her father passed away, among other things that she's been dealing with that have to do with this Black Moon Lilith frequency. Now, because of our session together just a few days ago, and this is what I want to encourage you as well, in light of what Jen also brought to the table, is that there's always a reason why. There's something, this is a communication that's happening here. And astrology helps to show what the communication is. So in Sharon's case, we were able to pinpoint the origin of this essence for her in her life and what it is that is culminating now for her and where this is taking her next. So you don't feel like, oh my God, now I'm receiving a square from this and an opposition from that. I'm like, oh my God, how much longer? Like you're just kind of on the sea of waiting for it to end, right? We want to understand what this language is saying, what the communication is, what, if there's any lessons, if there are any, all right, I have to go through this. Like this lunar return I'm in right now, I got the Black Moon Lilith and Mars conjunction in my first house. You get that in an angle, that's going to be a big energy for you to work with in your lunar return. And what am I going to do? Oh, no, I don't want this one. Give me another one. No, we can't do that, right? We have the lunar return we have to work with. And so these are energies that we are working with on other levels. So understanding the language, working through them, working with them in this way is very helpful because it actually starts to become a very different game, very empowering one when you understand this language. So let's go to screen share. Let me see which one. Let's go to my entire screen. Here. Okay. If you all can see this, what I have here on this section is the lunar return that we are in now, that I'm in right now. And we're going to start with this over here as a guiding post for this particular lunar return session. Now I'm going to make reference to the previous lunar return. Oh no, this is my natal chart. I'm sorry, the previous one is somewhere else in case we need it, I'll pull it up. But I'll be making reference to the next lunar return beginning on October 15th for me, because I'm going to again continue the transition process from one lunar return to the next with you. So we're going to cover here again these energies that we are working with right now of the transits that are very important. The Black Moon Lilith primarily. I know we've been working a lot with the Make It or Break It, but we're going to have the main focus be Black Moon Lilith in this particular transit session workshop. And then we're going to cover a little bit of just the technical aspects of a lunar return chart that you can also take into other charts, primarily working with the angles, practical ways of what it means, how to work with it. And we're going to cover this over here so that you can take this to your lunar return, but also to other charts that you work with. You know what? If someone is waiting to be admitted, I'm not going to be able to see this. Let me see something here really quick. Okay, there it is. Okay, we're good for now. So that's what we're going to focus on here in this session. So assuming all of you have at least one lunar return chart to work with, but preferably the lunar return chart that you are in now and the next one that you're transitioning into. Of course, the more the better if you have the one from before as well, from the month before, so you can start to compare. That's even better. We've already covered the importance of the ascendant, and we've already covered the importance of the moon. So if you haven't seen those particular videos yet, I do recommend that you watch the replay. It's on the mentorship platform. It's under the lunar return tabs, and they cover in depth the ascendant, how to work with it, the importance of it, and the moon. So assuming we are taking this into consideration when we're looking at our chart. So I'm looking here at my 17, the one that I'm in right now, my current lunar return chart. Doesn't matter what month, what year you're looking at your lunar return chart today. What is your rising today? Okay, this is just for you to silently meditate on this. Again, I'm taking you through the energies of the ascendant. This is going to be describing the overall energies of your theme for the month ahead. Second thing, the moon will show where your emotional awareness is in that month. Now, let's, I'm going to add here a little bit. This is my current lunar return. This is a fascinating lunar return to have for me. Our moon is always going to be in the same sign and degree, never going to change. But it was a lunar return that happened right after the new moon in Virgo. So I got the new moon energy for my month ahead. And this is a big deal. I was very much anticipating this and kind of apprehensive, especially when I saw the Make It or Break It featured on my midheaven. So we all know the Make It or Break It is an energy that is just culminating into the final make it or break it point in our life. And of course, when I saw this on my workplace, I was like, uh-oh, is there anything I should be aware of, guides, angels? And then I see a reset here, a new beginning in the house of service and work. And so this was, when I saw this month before it began, I knew that there was going to be something significant for me work-wise. And this is an example for you of how I work with my lunar return chart, showing in real time my process. Like, there's no way to predict. I can't know exactly how it's going to unfold. Yes, I can go digging deeper. Yes, I can pull up my natal chart, which is what I did on the other video. I hope you all watched my super bonus video from my heart to yours on my personal synthesizing process of my lunar return energies. I will be doing more of those. They will be private bonus videos that will be shared inside the Facebook Mentorship Circle group. Please ask to join if you're not part of it, okay? So I'll be sharing a lot of personal kind of like blog videos in there and uploading them to the mentorship as well, okay? These are going to be just bonus. So I do hope that you have seen that, because that was a really, really good video. And I will be doing more of those. But I showed you how I start to use the natal chart to incorporate deeper meaning into the lunar return charts. So that's a good introduction there that you can watch if you want to understand more. But again, looking at this new moon over here happening for me in my month ahead, I can dig deeper by, just kind of looking at the energies around here from this area of my chart. Again, super big because it's right, my work with you, with the community, the beginning of my Libra stellium. It's just a big energy for me. So in my blogs is where I will continue sharing more of my personal journey as my lunar return unfolds. And I, will make this available to you. It is a rather vulnerable thing to do in many ways, because I will be sharing a lot of personal things about me and my journey. But on the other hand, I think it's going to be good for you to learn. And, with my Libra moon here in the 11th house, it's like I'm usually just an open book, and my life is always an open book anyway. So this is going to be very beneficial for you, very powerful. And by seeing me in action, you're going to get a better feel for how to work with your charts. Because you're going to see specific things forming up in your lunar return ahead. You're going to be like, oh my God, I know this is huge, but I have no idea what it means. You're going to see that one thing that is just, you're going to see that one factor that is just like, oh my God, I wish I could show this to Raquel Spring. This is huge. And I will tell you, for example, when I saw this new moon happening here for my lunar return, I was like, whoa, that's huge. What does it mean? And then I see the make it or break it happening on my 10th house. I was like, oh, wow, brace yourselves. So this is where the energy is. This is where it's beneficial for you to understand the energies as they progress from lunar return to lunar return. Because these energies, they don't have a beginning and an end. They're flowing through your life. So in order for me to have a new moon happening here is because on the previous lunar return, there was something already unfolding. So as I guide you month through my lunar returns and these additional blogs and vlogs and all those type of things, you're going to see how that unfolds in action. But for now, let's leave it at that. The moon will show energies, the house the moon is in for you, the lunar return house. It's going to show your emotional awareness of that energy for that month. Now you're going to start noticing, for those of you that are extremely curious and have already printed out a whole bunch of lunar returns for all the months ahead, you're going to notice how certain energies are going to fall in specific houses several times for you. So this is where we want to maybe pull out my last lunar return from August 21st. This is my last lunar return, okay? And you're going to see I have a Libra rising and an Aries descendant. I have the make it or break it transit on my IC. Now, the last lunar return, that was huge. That was the one that I shared with you all. The make it or break it on my 4th house, my IC. Was when I got locked out of my own house. For those of you who missed the story, can watch it on the video. Got locked out of my own house. Ended up making a best friend here, neighbor, who actually was a disciple of Osho for 12 years. I thought it was 7. It's 12 years in India. Lived with him in the communities. We started meditating together. As a consequence, of course, I started having a whole bunch of spiritual experiences, all that. Had a reconnection with my family. Super powerful, heart-opening. Long story short, ended up buying my mother a home. Okay, this is all last month. This is what happens when you get a make it or break it on your IC. This is insane. It's insane. And that's just a little part of what happened. So this was intense. And as you can see, this dynamic over here is also interacting with the 7th house for me, just like it will be interacting with another house for you. But this dynamic changed on this lunar return that I'm in because, boom, now we have here the make it or break it. Instead of being on my IC, it was boom on my midheaven. And the Aries energy, instead of being my 7th house, is in my 1st house. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But if I look at my next one coming up on October 15th, check this out. And this is what you're going to see in your chart as well. It's a very similar, look at this. The degree is almost the same for the ascendant. 17 Libra, 16 Libra. Here I have the make it or break it. Bam. Look at this. Here I have the make it or break it again. Oh no, wait, sorry. This is the August and this is the October. They're both with the make it or break it on the IC. Now, I haven't entered this lunar return yet. After this one here that happened last month, you can imagine what happens when I see this one. I'm like making sure I have the keys every time I go out, right? I'm just like, okay, what's going to happen now? However, you're going to see some minor differences. So here I am showing you how to work with transitioning from lunar return to lunar return, or just understanding the overall energies of different lunar returns. This is the lunar return from August, and this is the one from October. They are very similar. That automatically puts my moon in the 12th house for both of them. See that? The ascendant is the same. The ascendant is the same, and this is what dictates the rest of the chart being very similar. So what does that mean? This means, yes, that these 2 months I will be experiencing similar energies. So if you are seeing this in your chart, you will be experiencing similar energies. In some ways, it gives you an upper hand because you already know the overall themes. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to get locked out of my house again. God forbid. As a matter of fact, this next month, I'm actually going to be moving Airbnbs. So you see, there's still the theme of home very prominent for me, but it's going to be a different one. So it doesn't mean I'm going to get locked out of my house. It doesn't mean I'm going to meet another neighbor that studied with Osho, or that I'm going to meditate with, or that I'm going to buy my mother another home. But it does mean, if you've been following my archetype videos, if you've been following my, those all those series in the library, you're going to see that the fourth house in the IC is not just your home and family life. And this is where when I talk about the angles, I'm going to bring this up a little bit here, because we are going to include the angles in this video. And the IC, the fourth house, the cusp of the fourth house, we all have it. This is your personal space. This is the root of your being here in this planet. The root of your personality. This is the cradle for which your little human self is developed. So this is where spirit meets flesh, literally. The IC is the home, it's the mother, it's related to the moon, and it really is that intuitive, soft, but also where we are forming, remember, in the archetype of the fourth house, this is the cauldron of where we're forming our ego, our identity, from the first, second, and third houses, the experience of the first, second, and third houses. So the fourth house is a very personal space. And things that happen on the IC in the fourth house, they imprint you in a very deep way. So look at your fourth house in your IC. When we talk about the angles, we're going to look at all the angles, but look at your fourth house in your IC, because if you have a natal, well, let's start with this. If you have, let's say like this, in a lunar return, the actual lunar return chart, you have something like this, which means the transits are connecting with your lunar returns IC. This over here is going to be a really profound experience for you. Now, before we tie into, the similar charts over here, let's pull this one up, because now that we're talking about the IC, I think it's going to be a good time to give you another example about the IC. So on this lunar return, I got the make it or break it on my midheaven, which actually I was like, oh no, something's going to end. What ended up happening is that I just really have been having a lot of new experiences happen, and a lot of things come up with just the dynamics of everything. Also getting ready with you guys and migrating everything and starting this new program. I'm so chilled right now about the rest of my work. It's been really hard for me because I have so much going on. So the make it or break it for me really spoke to me in the sense that I have to be okay with letting go, even at the possibility of ending a sort of, I've been really wondering about my YouTube channel, for example. That's been a huge one for me for a long time. And I'm just like, what do I do with that channel? Do I continue doing videos there? If I do it, do I revamp? Do I do it differently? And so, for example, this month for me, YouTube was definitely a make it or break it, where I literally was at my end's rope as well. I had a unpredictable situation also happen with help that was supposed to arrive, and something happened and didn't. So it was definitely a very intense make it or break it for me, especially with that side of the YouTube. And then from that, I was like, I'm not even going to do it anymore. I don't want to do astrology anymore. So for me, it was very much that. And then just realizing that I just have to let go. let go, forget about it, Raquel. Don't worry. You don't want to do videos for YouTube for a month or 2 or 3, whatever. Don't. Focus on the classroom. Focus on what you have going on right now. So for me, the make it or break it on the midheaven was very much that, and just having to be okay with a lot of the outward. The midheaven is a lot of your outward energies. This is a lot of the energies that come through in your work, whatever you do for work and profession. These are energies that are out in the open. So out in the open, people are not seeing me around. People are like, what's happening with you? What are your videos? Oh my God. And, even my Facebook posts, my social media, they have been, it's been very taxing for me and very tiring for me to create so much new content with all the energies that have been going on. So, for me, it's been really that allowing these energies to have that release point, because they're asking for that release point in my 10th house this month. But also realizing that they are all stationing direct this month. And so there is also a forward momentum in regard to my work. How do I know this? Well, I have a new moon here happening. So definitely it was a month where apparently a lot of things were at a massive standstill, so massive that perhaps even a very slow shutting down of certain directions. But on the other hand, can you see how there is an inconjunct happening to this energy, Venus and Vesta in Leo? I've spoken of this energy in my last videos. For those of you who missed it, I've been speaking a lot about the commitment, the heart, the relationship, renewed vision and focus with these energies over here that everyone's getting for their lunar returns. These energies are active for the entire month of September. Well, they were. Now we're in October. And I got this energy in my house of social activity. Now, when I saw this energy coming here, I'm like, well, okay, I thought I was a hermit. How is this happening? Well, I saw that this house is beginning at 1 Leo. And of course, I know my natal chart inside out. And if you look here in my natal chart, at 2 Leo is where my natal north node is. So I know that at the end of the day, there's something here that soul is guiding me to be open to. Sure enough, this was a very busy month for me here in Sedona. And this is one of the main reasons why I was not able to keep up with all the momentum from all my free work that I do, all the free stuff that I give, all the free newsletters and posts and videos and additional help and, astrology lover guidance and all that. This month, I couldn't keep up with it. This month, it's like I'm only giving preference to the students, my classes, my private sessions, and that's it. And it was really rough for me. And that's why there's an inconjunct. If you go to the mentorship program, there is a section called aspects. That section alone, there's enough content in there to keep you immersed for about 6 months. Even though there's only 5 or 6 videos, this is easily about a 6-month course because it's so in depth about aspects. If you go in there, you will understand better the energies of what I'm talking about for all of these aspects, including your chart. But the inconjunct is an energy that it's not easy to reconcile. There is an adjustment that needs to be made, and it's very uncomfortable for the person carrying it. Not for the people watching it. The people watching it don't necessarily see it, but it's a very personal adjustment factor. So in my case, oh my God, my Sedona opened up its doors to me like never before this month. And this month with Mercury on my descendant, which is the relationship with others, I felt like everybody in Sedona wanted to connect with me. Everybody wanted a session. Everybody wanted to come to my house. Everybody wanted to be my guest. Everybody wanted to, people offering me spaces to do things. I have land. It's just all over the place. So how crazy that I have the make it or break it, which is literally, it's both. It's the making it and breaking it of many different energies. And regarding my work, I got the new moon energy. while apparently my online work is at a standstill, Sedona is hot and alive. So this is how you get to see in my personal chart these energies come into action. But the IC is really here the most astounding thing, because whereas the month before I got the make it or break it here August 21st on my IC, and it was definitely a very impactful. Like my lunar return chart, I couldn't even write notes. It was so much that happened in that month. I was like, how do you even put like 10 years worth of content into one page? Impossible. So it happens when you get something like this on the IC. But then the next month, guess what I get? Oh, it's Cancer. How sweet. But here's the other missing piece here for you that I want you to understand about working with your IC. And of course, working with your angles, we're going to use the same concept. So I'm introducing this to you right now. There's 2 ways to work with it. Number 1, boom, get your lunar return chart. Let's use the IC as an example. Number 1 is you're going to look at the actual IC or 4th house as well, because the angular houses are also very important. And are there any transiting planets that are aligning with your lunar return IC or your 4th house? Maybe it's not the make it or break it. Maybe it's your moon, for example. Maybe it's your lunar return moon. That's going to change the dynamic completely, because now it's moon related themes. That's how you start to interpret. If it's Mercury on your IC, on your lunar return, it's going to be Mercury related themes. Again, you have the content in our library to go there and refer to. Okay, so you pull up the list. You're going to work with the energies that you're working with. If it's a make it or break it, it's a very different script. But the one thing you're going to have in common, my dears, is the area, the IC, the home space, the 4th house. Whatever it is, whether it's a moon, whether it's a Mercury, or whether it's a make it or break it, these are energies that are impacting on a deep level. This is your personal space. Most always it's going to be reflected in some sort of a home dynamic, like when I got locked out of my house. And I was like, it was so funny. I was sitting outside so upset. I was like, what did I do to deserve this? I know there is a deeper meaning to this. I know, but what could it be? Like, for real, seriously. Come on, universe. Could there be another way? Could there be another way? No, that was it. That was the way that I chose for myself. So when you have something happening on your IC, if it impacts your family, if it impacts your home life, your home dynamic, if it impacts your, maybe it's something that has to do with your family lineage. Let's say you're getting a Chiron over there and you're doing healing for your family lineage. And you're having dynamics that have to do with my father's grandfather, blah, 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 and all that. It's going to show up there. But at the end of the day, the IC is a very personal space. So whether it's your house, whether it's your lineage, whether it's your family, whether it's your home, it's going to impact you in a way that it's speaking to the structure and foundation of your being here in this journey. So the repercussions are going to be trickling for months to come, maybe even years to come. So the IC energy is a very intense one. So that's one of the ways you're going to work with on your lunar return, and again, solar return as well. And any other chart that you're working with is you're going to see if, boom, on that initial chart, there are any energies situated over there for you. If there are, you're going to take the nature of the planet into consideration and then the house it's in. Okay? If obviously we're working with the IC and the 4th house, and so we're dealing with a personal space, very impactful energies. But this can also be used for the descendant and for the midheaven and for the ascendant. The second thing you're going to do with your chart, lunar return, solar return, is you're going to compare the zone. First, you have to locate, and hopefully by now you know how to locate the sign and degree on that angle for you. We could be working with an ascendant, with a midheaven, with an IC. This is what we're using now as an example, but you have to be able to locate the sign and degree. This is very important. Can everybody locate that, or is there anybody that has any questions with that? Let me check the chat here really quick. If anybody has questions, can unmute themselves. Okay, lunar return IC 26 Leo with lunar return V. Okay, so you're locating, good, Jen. I want to just make sure that everybody is able to locate the sign and degree. This is very important. If you can't do that, then you're not going to understand what I'm talking about, because then the rest already becomes easier. What are you going to do with the rest? Once you locate these energies, let's go back here. Once you locate the sign and degree, you're going to find that sign and degree on your natal chart. So 18 Capricorn is my hot zone here for the month of August. So what I want to do is I want to go to my natal chart. This is my natal chart. And I want to locate 18 Capricorn to see if I have any additional information, anything that is being brought from my natal blueprint. This is my life's path that is being brought to the focus for very deep personal transformation this month. So I look here in my chart, Capricorn is here. 18 Capricorn would be around here. Okay. I don't have anything here. I want additional information, so I'm going to pull up my progress chart. So the progress chart is here. That would be the outer wheel. And again, I don't have anything happening at 18 Capricorn. So, all right, maybe you will see this is the case with you. Maybe you will see that your lunar return ascendant is not really matching up with anything particular here in your natal chart. Or your lunar return descendant or midheaven or IC is not aligning with anything particular for you. So, okay, if that's the case, then you go back to just looking at the overall structure of your actual lunar return chart. Now, there will be other lunar returns. For example, the one I'm in right now. Where is it? Here we go back to the energies of, where are we? That Cancer IC. Here it is. Today, this month, I think making up for the intense last month I had on my personal space, I get the soft waters of Cancer, which already in and of itself, even if you don't compare with your natal chart, it's already going to describe a lot. Cancer is describing the overall energy tone of my personal space. This includes home, this includes family, this includes the personal structures of my beingness. So as a continuation from last month, yes, of course, I'm having super heart connection with my family, especially after getting my mother her home. It's also her birthday. Her birthday was 27th, just a few days ago, September. And I have a brother whose birthday is on the 6th of October. So, doing chart readings for them and just really connecting with family. My sister, you all know, has been helping me, has been my assistant, and we've just been bonding so much, working together and just experiencing each other in new ways as well as sisters. So the home has definitely been there with the Cancer energy. I'm really happy that I got this energy as well here too, because this is the month where I have to look for a new place to go to, a new Airbnb. And of course, there's a part of me that is a little bit hesitant with everything going on. Also Sedona is filling up. Very hard to find places here now to move into. So I was really happy. And to tell you the truth, I actually planned. This is how you, my dears, are going to start to learn more and more how to start to plan in advance with the energies you have in place. So, okay, I know. So I know this is a transition year. Right now, I'm jumping from Airbnb to Airbnb because I need a place with furniture, and it's easier to find an Airbnb. But I'm tired of relocating every 2-3 months. Like, I need a place that I can stay at least 6 months. So I'm working with these energies, and okay, when do I move? And every month is intense. Every month we're having the make it or break it happening for everybody. It's going to be intense for everybody. Well, you're never going to get a perfect chart, but I'm going to see, okay, I'm moving, I'm looking for a place. I want to look at home. I want a nice, smooth home dynamic, and potentially third house as well. Because third house is where you move, where you relocate, especially short distance. This is negotiations, this is contract, this is, move Airbnbs, it's third house, third and fourth house. And this looks like a really happy sector for me this month. Not only the North Node is in here, but it's also Cancer here. So long story short, I did get some very predictable change of plans from the Airbnbs that I had in mind, the owners, and it got me a little upset, but trusting the whole thing. But overall, I had a very smooth time finding places. And the person helping me with the real estate, he actually went out of his way to really help me get situated with the transition that I'm waiting for my new place where I'm going to stay for longer. He helped me find a beautiful place that actually ended up being the place where I need to be next. I'm gonna move next month, gonna stay 1 month in an Airbnb. It's gonna be right next to one of the key people in Sedona that I came here for. Initially, it was to attend one of her retreats. She's a very influential figure in my life. And with the Airbnb that I'm getting next now, because of the whole mix up, is actually going to be right next to her. And it's actually going to be a really wonderful continuation of this new moon energy as well, because we are more and more starting to get to know each other and work together as well. And it's getting really exciting. So the energies here in my home space are very beautiful overall, and a breath of fresh air, especially after the make it or break it in my home dynamic. But again, we always want to see if we have additional information. So what do? We pull up the natal chart. And whereas I didn't have anything on my IC on the last lunar return in 18 Capricorn, this zone of, 8 Cancer? Wow, I got a lot going on here. It's all my 8th house, and most especially, it's where my natal Venus is. So now this is where you're going to start to add to the interpretations of your chart as well. Because if you do happen to have something in your natal or progress chart that aligns with the zone that you're looking at, whether it's your ascendant, your midheaven, or your IC for this case, you're bringing the energies from that planet of yours into this space, into your personal space. This is the case for me. So this is just adding. I mean, having Cancer in the 4th house is already, the mother, the nurturing, the love. You add my natal Venus in here, oh my God, it just adds to the story. So this month over here, I had open house. I had a potluck here for some really beautiful, powerful women that I connected with on the meditation. I'm sure most of you saw the pictures and the posts that I did on Facebook regarding this. And we had a really powerful, powerful meditation for the equinox. Okay, this was really strong, and it was even more than the Lions Gate meditation we did at the Shasta retreat. I mean, not the Shasta, the August meditation at Mount Cathedral. So this one here in particular, it was definitely the vibe was different. And a lot of women, we got together and went afterwards to the local juicery here. And we just hung out and chatted and talked for a while and really connected. So we said, well, how about we all get together and we do a potluck, all of us together, and we just continue connecting and sharing our gifts and all of that. And so we ended up doing it in my house. And, you know, as you can see, with all, we still have the leftover flowers. And of course, my natal Libra moon and Libra stellium went crazy on the being the hostess and decorating. And just, I love doing all of that. And those of you who know me and who have been here in my personal space, you know that I love to host people and I love to have people around. And my space is just, I call it my little Libra sanctuary. No matter where I go, I carry my Libra sanctuary with me. So with the girls coming over here, it was just a Venus fest, period, from beginning to end. It was a Venus fest. And the incredible thing is that I was really happy to experience this dynamic here of Mars and Black Moon Lilith in my first house in a very strong way with these women. It was very much like these women here in Sedona, they're so gifted, so tapped in. And I've never been around so many women like that are just so connected with this, let's say, esoteric side, or these gifts and these abilities to just, it's much more than channeling. It's much more than, I don't even know how you call it. You know, it really is a Black Moon Lilith energy. And so part of this connection with these women we were just activating each other. It was crazy. So that's why in the juicery, we were like, whoa, we're already sharing gifts and feeling all the activations. We're like, let's take this to a potluck, to a women's gathering or something. So we had this last week, and the girls didn't want to leave my house. I thought everyone was going to be gone by like 9 the latest. It was like almost midnight and everyone is still here like, oh my God, like it was so strong. So this is how I can tell you, I definitely felt these Black Moon Lilith energies very strong for me, being that it was on an angle house, not on the IC, not on the fourth house, but on the ascendant. Still a very important house to look at because it becomes a focus for your path that month. And then navigating through these energies, knowing that these energies in my first house can also make me express these qualities more strongly. So I was observing how when I go out in the streets, even people are looking at me different, because now my aura is with a Black Moon, Lilith, and Mars energies wherever I go, even if I'm not saying anything. And that's a very different dynamic than, you know, what was happening the month before. Libra, oh, peace and harmony, partnerships here. Who wants to be my friend? Who wants to make partnerships with me? Okay. This is the vibe, the aura I was giving before. Peace, love, harmony. The vibe here I'm giving now is, ooh, who is this person? Whoa, get out of the way. It's either scary or it's intriguing. It's magnetic. It's, you know, it's like the first day, it's so funny to notice that when the energies change, the first day when the energies change from this lunar return to this lunar return here, I had a dentist appointment. Okay. I went to the dentist, and it was just because I haven't gone to the dentist in like, what, 4 years, or since I arrived here in the country. I hardly go to those things. And I'm like, maybe it's time that I get just a general, you know, cleaning and basic thing done. So I go over there, I book an appointment. I go over there. All of a sudden they start hooking up all those machines, those x-rays, like doing all, and I'm like, did I sign up for this? And I told the guy, I said, I'm not too familiar with this, but is it, let me ask you a few questions. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, what's this? And he's like, oh, this is just procedure so we can like take the x-rays and see if everything's okay. And I said, no, honey, like everything's okay. I'm just asking for a regular cleanup. Like I didn't ask for this. And he's like, oh, but it's part of the procedure we do. And I said, well, let me ask you something. And I said very nicely too, by the way, but it's something that you don't hear people ask all the time. So I said, well, let me ask you something. I said, all these devices you're hooking up onto me, are they harmful for me? Do they have any sort of radio frequencies or anything that could be harmful for me? That was a very, very Black Moon, Lilith, and Mars moment. I didn't even mean like obviously it's a very strong question and I have all the right to ask, and I didn't ask in an angry way or anything, but I'm like, let's be very logical about what's going on here. I didn't ask for this. You're doing this. Let's understand what is this. And so we actually sat down and we ended up becoming friends at the end. He was, we were like, I was like, don't worry, I know you're doing your job. You were like, how do you say in English? When you keep the peace, it was all good. He was a very mindful of energy things as well. But the conversation ended up going to him having that as being a procedure, to me telling him, look, I understand, but what you're doing to me is something that I don't need. As you can see, I have absolutely perfect teeth. At the end, he was like, he's like, are your teeth real? Like, I've never seen teeth this healthy before. I don't have nothing, my teeth. And he's just like, it's amazing. I said, I know I have healthy teeth. And this is why I prefer that you ask me before if you're going to do something like this, because I don't need this, right? And so I just told him at the end, I said, I understand all the process and everything, but the energies we're working with right now are very hyper for everyone. I told him this. And using devices like this only intensify the experiences of headaches, of feeling unstable and grounded. And I'm sure you know that. I told him that. I'm sure you understand that. So just based on this dynamic, if I have to have a radio, x-ray, whatever it's called, done on me, let me know so I can choose the date where I'm going to have it done, where I can have more rest, where I'm more grounded, right? It's part of our thing here. So to be able to choose these things. So talking to him about, and he was just like looking at me with his face, like didn't even know what to make of it. But at the end, he was like, no, you're totally right. I understand. I work these things too. Sit down, everybody understands energy. So this over here was an energy that right off the bat, boom, on the first day. And then when I left the office, I was like, that was an odd situation. I was like, that must have really startled him. I'm sure he doesn't get that level of like calm conviction every day. But it was Black Moon Lilith. She had to speak up. It was my body. It was my head. I don't need that. I'm paying for something else. So this over here is an energy that you're going to see in your chart. In my first house, I knew this was a part of my aura altogether. After the experience with the dentist, I was like, okay, I'm already in my next lunar return. I need to be very mindful of how I conduct myself, how I speak, how I say things, because my energy this month is extra spicy, extra sensual, extra edgy, extra Black Moon Lilith in all ways. So it's a frequency that if it's coming up for you prominent in your ascendant, you want to be very mindful of. If it's on your midheaven, it may be something related to your work, that you may be bringing that extra fearless voice into your work that month. So the angles, as you see, I've already used examples of the IC and the ascendant. This can also extend to the entire house, the entire angular houses, the 4th, 7th, 10th, and 1st house. They're houses that the energies become prominent. So if you have things happening in the angle, on the angles or on the angular houses, they're prominent experiences for you. Now, it's very different to have a partnership on your angular house and a Libra as an overall theme, and have Aries and Mars and Black Moon Lilith as your theme. So after that experience with the dentist, and then knowing also the dynamic of Mercury this last month, and a lot of us are still under this lunar return as well. Knowing the dynamic of Mercury has been in an opposition with this combo and in a square with the make it or break it. So this month, looking at my chart, I was like, Raquel, you need to chill. You need to take it like 10 notches down, and you're probably still going to be really intense. So I did, and I was very mindful of these energies, and it was really, really good, because I noticed it wanting to come out and be expressed in many different times, in many different ways, sometimes even subconsciously, and I like catch it before. That's why it's really good to be aware of these energies. But then, as I am, and I just allow these energies to come out naturally, and I observe them instead of like going with that impulse, and I observe and I let them come. Wow, I start to notice a lot of the other esoteric side of Black Moon Lilith. The nature of my relationships with most people today have been also very Black Moon Lilith in nature, in the sense of death. I've been dealing with my clients a lot, coaching them, helping them, and navigating through this energy in their own lives. So definitely a part of my experience as well through my work with you, but also with my work here with Sedona, with the women, and really talking a lot about these energies that are going on and activating each other. And it's been really incredible. So of course, on the descendant, that puts Mercury here, highlights Mercury on the descendant. Here we're blending energies. So we got Mercury related themes: communication with others, negotiations, contracts, business dealings, connections, a lot of connections in the seventh house of relationships. This was definitely a month for me where I had a lot of powerful connections. And I have a lot of people this month that have that, what do you need type of talk. How can I help you? You need land for a retreat. You need space for this. Oh my God, I met this super sweet person that owns a school here for children, a Waldorf school. Well, he's a director for a Waldorf school here. And we started talking about bringing astrology into, he's like, use the space for whatever we want. We can maybe do stuff with the parents, so there's like a lot of local things happening for me. And while the online stuff is kind of giving a break, because even if I post something there, people are not even present online so much. It's almost like a misfiring, and it could be a misfiring, a waste of energy for me if I'm like, when there's something in the town that is pulling me, in Sedona, in the land, with the people here. So this is where I start to look at the chart and understand what the energies are asking of me. It's intense here, but hey, look, North Node is pointing here. Local network, community, right? Fourth house, Venus is here, opening my space up to the girls, so forth. So Mercury on the descendant really has been all the connections I've been making. I've just been making connections everywhere. So transitioning into the next lunar return, what happens? Now we get this lunar return that begins on October 15th for me. And as you can see, we have again the same energies of Libra here on the ascendant and the make it or break it on the IC. You're going to see that you're going to get this in several months. Take this, notice it, pay attention to it, and use it to learn astrology, because you're going to see similar things come up for you in these months. Now, they will not be exactly the same. As you can see here, let's put the August one on the left side. So we have the August one here and the October one on the right side. Both very similar energies when it comes to the angles. What is determining this? The ascendant. The ascendant is what determines the rest of the chart to look the same. Why? Because the ascendant will place these big energies in the same houses. Look at this. I got the Black Moon, Lilith, and Mars here in the 7th house, Uranus as well, 7th house, North Node in the 9th house for both of them, Moon in the 12th house for both of them, make it or break it in the 4th house for both of them. There's a lot of similar energies that I'm working with here. Now, what is the difference? Remember, these are transits. These are happening for everybody. Why are so many of these energies in the same houses? Well, because these are very slow moving transits. For example, the make it or break it is a very slow moving transit. So we're getting this for a few months. Actually, we're getting this for most of the year. So this is an energy that is going to be most of the year together in different parts of your chart, but together. For this month and next month, it's Black Moon, Lilith, and Mars. They're going to be together. It doesn't matter whose lunar return you're looking at. Okay? It's the month that they're together. They're in transit for everybody. So this energy over here is going to show up in August and also together in October. Now, they are not as conjunct as they were here because this is the dynamic real time in the sky. So here they were a lot more conjunct. In August, they were a lot more conjunct than in next month. So this is one way for you to start to look at the small, subtle nuances and differences of these lunar return charts. When the angles are the same, at least the ascendant, oh, okay, it's going to be a very similar theme. Now, when you get planets in the same houses too, you're adding to the same themes. This is going to be the same, and I know it's going to be a big month for me next month, and I'm actually anticipating it. If you stop and notice the August, they're all retrograde. The October, they're all direct. Notice this difference? You're going to get this difference too. Where is that difference for you? If you're getting by any chance these 2 months like me that I'm saying with similar energies, pay attention to these small nuances. In the month before, they were all retrograde. The make it or break it was definitely a lot more on that popping edge. Okay, feel to it. Mars and Black Moon Lilith, very conjunct, very conjunct. In this over here, the energies are a little bit different. This is direct. There's something already moving in forward motion of all these energies. Something is helping you now really get ahead with these energies. And with the Mars and Black Moon Lilith, they are separating. They're not as close anymore. They will come together once again when in Taurus, when Mars is direct, but that's going to be later. For now, their conjunction is done in Aries. That was it. That was their conjunction, their final conjunction. They had one conjunction before, and they had their last conjunction now. So these dynamics you're going to be looking at. What is another dynamic you're going to be looking at? It's the fast-moving planets. Venus, Mercury, the sun. The sun moves 1 degree per day. So the sun is most likely going to be in a different house for you every lunar return. Okay? Here, the sun on this lunar return was in Leo in the 11th house. On the lunar return I'm in now, and it's going to be different for you too. And it's going to be in Leo for everybody when the sun is in Leo. It's going to be in Virgo when the sun is in Virgo for everybody. So here on the lunar return I'm in currently, the sun is in Virgo. And it probably is for most of you right now too. And it's showing up in a certain place of your chart. Well, these two lunar returns here that were similar because they have the same ascendant, they're putting the sun in different places. Why? Because on this lunar return, the sun was in Leo. And on this lunar return that I'm entering in next, the sun is going to be in Libra. So that is something that you want to pay attention to. The sun, Mercury, and Venus. Mars as well. Right now, Mars is retrograde, so it's going to continue in Aries. We don't need to pay attention to Mars. But Venus and Mercury are going to change signs and have different aspects with the rest of your planets. We're going to refine this process in later classes, but for now, that's what you need to know. Mercury and Venus are the ones, and the sun are the ones that are going to be changing all the time. Even in the same lunar return, if you get 2 lunar returns from 2 people, for example, some people got this lunar return here when Mercury was still in Leo. Some people got it when Mercury was in Virgo because Mercury travels fast. And that changes the dynamic. You see how over here, in this place over here, Mercury and the sun, they're able to make a trine with all these energies? Well, if they were in different places, they probably would be making different aspects. So that's how we're going to start working in later lunar returns with these energies. But for now, what we're doing is we're getting big energies. We're getting big points that are easy to notice and easy to work with. So for you, that is going to be the angles. Today, you are incorporating your understanding of the angles. You're now not only looking at your ascendant, which is what we started with, but you're also going to look at your descendant. You're going to look at your IC, and you're going to look at your midheaven to understand if there are any other energies that are being in focus for you for the month ahead. You're going to see if there are any planets conjunct the ascendant. Let's get this month, it's easier. Any planets conjunct the ascendant or the midheaven or the descendant or the IC. And then, of course, the entire angular house as well. If there are planets, those planets are going to be highlighted for you. If you want additional information, get the degree and the sign of whatever it is you're looking at and locate in your natal or progressed chart those same energies to see where they're coming from. So for example, this month over here, very intense make it or break it on my IC, is got very similar energy to this, but if you look over here, not only the planets are moving direct now, but I have the sun conjunct the ascendant and on my first house. So that's a very big statement for my month ahead. And then of course with Cancer here on the midheaven, I know that this next month of October, November, I'm going to be getting back on track with my online work, let's put it that way. This is a very loving and very, especially when you get Cancer on the midheaven and Libra on the ascendant, this is a very loving outward vibe for others, okay? So, and it's on my career, my work, so I know that something's going to definitely happen on my personal space again, that is going to be shared in a very beautiful way and continued in my work, whatever it is that I'm going to be doing next month. Now, with the sun in my first house, I know that this is a super powerful level of being prominent and being seen. I've only gotten a sun like this in the first house very few times on my lunar return, so I'm very much curious about this energy. Now, you know, I do have to take into consideration the two things I mentioned, which is my lunar return chart and my natal chart. If I'm looking at my natal chart, I got the sun here. Okay, bam, wow, this sun is making a statement. So what I would do is I would spend like a good half an hour with the sun, like trying to read in between the lines, meditating with it, pulling up my natal chart, like trying to find all the meanings of the sun here so I can really understand what it's communicating to me. Then I want to look at the rest of the first house because these energies are also going to be prominent and strong for me in this month ahead. Because any energies you have in your angular houses are energies for the theme that are going to be prominent for you. So look at what I have here. I'm getting the Mercury retrograde energy as highlighted of my theme, highlighted as a part of my theme. Now, maybe some of you are going to get this Mercury retrograde on your midheaven. This is going to be very much related to work agreements for you, if you're getting that. This is going to be an interesting energy to navigate because when Mercury stations retrograde, and I will be speaking about these energies in the astrology lover community, it's doing it conjunct Juno, which is the asteroid of relationships. So I'm going to be talking about this energy in my upcoming videos of what it means, but be attentive to these energies because we're all going to get it. And this is blending energies of contracts, agreements, and relationships together. Now, of course, there's a part of me that's like, okay, that's going to be the month I'm going to be moving. All right, there's only so much we can do. Yes, I can pick my date for choosing my house. Whereas the one with the Cancer, right? The one with the Cancer and the Venus on my IC. Okay, I picked the, oh, yes, I found, thank God. I thought that would be more important for me to get the Venus to find a place than to move. Because like to move, whatever, at least I have the place secured, you know? Because I could choose to get the energy of Venus in the month that I would move. You know what I mean? That's how I plan. Like, do I want to have the energy of Venus in Cancer in my home? It's a very beautiful energy. I want to make use of it. It's a very loving home space and very happy. And I had a choice, like, okay, do I want this energy to move or to find a place, right? And I ended up choosing it to find the place last month because I'm like, well, at least if I secure the place, I think that's important. And I did find a very beautiful place, and everything did end up working well, and actually even better because now I'm going to get to spend a month really close by this really powerful teacher and guide that I'm getting closer and closer to. So this Mercury retrograde can also be used for this connection with her or with other people that are going to be beneficial for going within. This is an energy that I want to advise you because this energy here is going to be very strong for the world. And there's going to be a lot of relationships and partnerships that are going to have, like, let's say, a make it or break it coming up with this energy. I'm going to give everyone a heads up out there and speak about these energies, but listen, we're all getting it. And look, it's opposing Uranus. This is happening for everybody. Of course, depending on the day of your lunar return, some people are not getting this conjunction so tight like this, like I am, for example. Depending on when your lunar return begins, you may be getting in the very beginning of Scorpio, or, maybe still even in Libra, or further down the line and not so conjunct with Juno. Remember, the closer, the more probable these chances are. This energy here with opposing Uranus is going to want a lot of agreements, a lot of decisions. There's going to be a lot, on a collective level. I see this over here also as an energy, just even with the politics, people like fighting about things, like, it's just a mess, when it comes to that. People are going to be working themselves out, and it's just so interesting to see how people get so impacted to the extent of, like, within own families, of like not speaking to each other because of politic dynamics. It's really impressive. Oh my God. But it's what's happening, and it's the feedback I'm getting. And these energies over here, especially with the Mercury retrograde, we want to be mindful of these energies for the month ahead. It's going to all come up somewhere for us. So I see it coming up for me in angular houses. All right, Raquel, here we go. Everything's prominent in Raquel Springs world. So it's going to be prominent for me. Now, the same way that I saw this coming up here with that Black Moon, Lilith, and Mars energy on my first house, I don't even know where it is now, coming up for my lunar return. And I was like, Raquel, be mindful. You got to chill this month. It's the same with this. I am not going to stop anything from happening. I'm in full surrender, but I am noticing more than reacting. Because in reaction mode, people are right now totally in survival mode. Okay? Survival mode. And that's where the make it or break it is triggering everyone. And the Black Moon Lilith is like hyperactive for people. Because a lot of people are in survival mode. Fear, just everything. Fear, aggression, lack. At the end of the day, we're changing, and there's a lot of fear of the unknown, and people don't know how to deal with this, and so they get all the information from the media, and that has been fueling a lot of survival instincts in people. So when you know that, you can just take a back seat. When I got this combination, Black Moon, Lilith, and Mars on my 7th house, remember I put it on my blog, on my video vlog, I was getting these feisty students, getting the attitude. And it was so interesting because I with these energies coming from the seventh house, like I'm looking at my chart, like, okay, it's the cycles, right? And like for some reason it's there to work with. So when I see it coming, I'm like, well, maybe this is where life wants me to stand a little more in my ground and be, hold that balance and not let people just walk all over me with their talks and their words like that. And if I see a sun in my first house, I'm like, yep, life definitely wants me to own my light and own my voice and own things like that. So when I see this energy coming up in the seventh house, I know, hey, I may get an upset student here or there, or an upset, grocery, whatever person at the grocery store over there. I may get that. I may get someone who's upset if I'm not wearing a mask somewhere. Like, it's okay. So when you see that, you want to keep if you want to keep the peace, you wear your mask, you mind your own business, be in your energies, because you know what these energies are activating for you. But you also are aware when these situations do come up of what it is trying to communicate to you. So in case of the Mercury retrograde for me, there may be some revisiting of some of the people that are potentially going to work with me, or vice versa. There's a lot of new potential people coming into my workspace as well. So, I feel the Mercury retrograde is going to be very much a time for me not to make any big decisions, the same way that I will caution you, because the energy here is not to make big decisions. Overall, okay, this energy is going to be working different with your charts, but overall, which means for the rest of the world, people are going to be dealing with a Mercury opposing Uranus. So unless it's really in the flow, it's something that things are really in that momentum, and even then, take it all with a grain of salt. Be very cautious with these energies. The Mercury retrograde will be active for most of your lunar returns next month. Okay? And then, of course, pulling up your natal chart will always give you additional information of the energies from the angles. So, ascendant is always the starting point, and we've already covered this on the other videos. For me, it's 17 Libra. Well, 17 Libra, this is conjunct my Pluto, my natal Pluto, and especially my lunar return sun. This is going to be a really powerful month for me next month. Not only is the sun on the first house, but it's exactly where my Pluto is. So 22 Libra lines up with my natal Pluto and Juno, which is my power couple combo that I always dance around when I talk about. It's my power couple combo that I've been waiting all my life for. Anyway, it's a really interesting combo. When it's active, it's really interesting things happen because it's Pluto. It's make it or break it always with Pluto. So this has actually been very prominent for me because 2 lunar returns ago, it was the ascendant as well for me. It was this point. And then on the one that I'm in right now, it's my descendant, which is where I believe Mercury is around there. I don't remember the exact degree. But then on the next month, it's where the sun is. The sun, right on the day that the moon returns to its original place of birth, 4 degrees Libra, the sun will be at 22 Libra, lining up with Pluto and Juno for me. So this is going to be very, 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 very big. And this is where you can get additional information when you compare to your natal chart. Just looking at this chart is already, wow, that's a big deal, especially because it's opposing Mars. There's already a whole description there to be said in and of itself. But if you add the natal chart, you're going to be surprised at what you're going to find lining up with the planets on your lunar return. Some of you are going to have maybe not necessarily anything on the angles, but you're going to have, let's say, the North Node. Right now, the North Node 21 Gemini for everybody in the sky. The 21 Gemini North Node lines up, let's see, exactly with your natal Mercury or with your natal Sun, right? Or with your natal Mars. Or let's say that your lunar return Venus This next lunar return, Venus, is at in Virgo. Let's say that lunar return Venus for you is lining up with your natal moon, for example, or your natal sun. You're going to get parts of your chart that are lining up with key points of your natal chart. And when you start to unravel this world, it becomes a whole other world. Astrology becomes a whole other world for you. You don't want to ever stop because you just become obsessed to like want to locate everything because it's so exciting to see all the connections that everything's making. But I'm just giving you this little sneak preview here in case you're wondering and curious and already looking for other things in your chart. But stick to the main energies. The main energies are the angles. Look at the actual precise angle and the entire angular house. Look at your lunar return chart to see if there are any energies in there. And then the next step is compare it with your natal chart to find additional information. Okay, when you do that, you're going to find a lot of really, really interesting things. So these energies become much more alive to you when you start to incorporate your natal chart into the angles and the ascendant point as well. How you're going to interpret it, what it means, what does a sun in the first house mean? Well, you can be a little bit intuitive about it. At this point, at this stage of the game, you can be a little intuitive about it. You can have an overall feeling of what a sun in the first house means because you know you have all the material in the classroom of first house, ascendant, and the sun. So it's really getting these two energies and putting it together in a way that makes sense in your life, given the context you're in. This sun opposition Mars, a lot of people are going to get it. You know, the sun is in Libra right now. It's going to be opposing Aries, the dynamic in Aries. And it's the sun's turn to square the big boys here. So we're going to see a lot of like big powers coming to head here with this. And a lot of people are getting these energies. Most people are getting these energies. Maybe the sun's not going to be exactly here in Libra, but it will be either a little bit before or a little bit after. Still opposing Mars retrograde and still squaring the make it or break it. What does that mean? That means that most people are going to be dealing with this energy of the make it or break it again in focus, but now by the Mars in Aries and Sun in Libra. Make it or break it still in focus, but now it's a slightly different dynamic. With the sun now in focus, now we have big powers. On an individual level, it's big powers of expression. Here we're going to have a lot of people standing up, speaking up, sharing things. Maybe, you know, depending here, the dynamic is intense. There's going to be a lot of separation going on between people, between choices and families and friends. And so a lot of people are going to be experiencing this opposition here alone as a parting of ways. We also know the opposition, according to the aspects class in the mentorship program, is a full culmination of energies, just like the full moon. So here we're getting the full culmination of Mars and Sun. These are big energies, big masculine energies. And most of us are getting that somewhere in our charts. So find out where these energies are coming up for you and know that you don't have to experience it as a rash or aggressive or separating energies unless your flow and your cycle is calling you for that. We're all in very unique cycles, but it doesn't mean that we're all going to experience that as a separating factor, because it can also just be a full view of these energies. It can be something within your family dynamic that is now fully exposed or fully talked about or fully in view. Maybe it's your relationship. This is a very masculine energy. These energies right now, this month is very masculine, by the way. Sun, Mars, and then the make it or break it in Capricorn, very masculine. So, you know, it is going to be a lot of that coming up, and you can participate and you can also learn what the language is showing you. Maybe it's time also for you to step into new levels of your power too. All important things to take into consideration here. Any questions? I'm going to open the floor here for any questions. Yes?
Yes, I have a question. It's Sissy.
Hi, Susie. Hi, love.
It's in regards to an out of sign conjunction. It's because for my lunar return that started yesterday, I have Venus and on my IC at 29 Leo. And then
what's your IC degree?
Yeah, it's 29.
And
29.
And Venus is also at 29?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
And then I looked at my natal chart. I don't really have anything going on there, but in my progress chart, I have my progressed sun at 2 Virgo. So I mean,
good one. Good call, Sizzy. Okay, so do you guys understand? And again, I'm welcoming questions that have to do with the angles and the things that we talked about here, because there's always so many facets to explore in lunar returns. And my follow-up videos, my bonus videos will be to share, oh, what if it's your Venus return this month? What if it's your thing? You know, these little additional things. The questions, let's stick to the subject that we're talking about here. So this is a great one. She's talking about that on her IC. She had 29 Leo. And it's also where transiting Venus was on the day of her lunar return, 29 Leo. So that's a very powerful statement for IC. We know that there's something related to relationships, matters of the heart, potentially even sisters for her, depending on the rest of the dynamic. That is touching a very personal space for her, correct? The first thing that stands out to me by what she said is the degree. All right, do you remember the anaretic degree? Anything at 29 is a last degree energy. So in this lunar return starting on October, for me, October 15th, I got Black Moon Lilith at 29 degree. So I know there's a wrapping up energy here for me. I've definitely been working with the Black Moon Lilith energy for well over a year now. So I'm going to take this very seriously, spiritually speaking, with this frequency, and really, really pay attention. Because when we see an energy that is at 29 of any sign, there is something that has reached a full level of maturity, and we're done. We're wrapping things up. There's something very mature about the situation and ready to conclude or move on. So the fact that she got her Venus at 29, that stood out to me right away. And the fact that it was also 29 her IC, I'm wondering if you had anything related to home life, in addition to everything else we're going to talk about, anything related to home life that also brought this. Were you moving? Were you relocating? Was this 29 degree also speaking of home life for you in any way?
Not really. I mean, I don't really know yet because I had my lunar return started out yesterday. So
okay, it started yesterday. Okay, great.
Yes,
Keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for that. You want to circle these little things before your lunar return begins, because these are energies that you're curious about. For example, this new lunar return here, October, I am having like 3 or 4 quintiles to and from Mercury. I don't fully know what that means, but that's very unusual, very intriguing for me. So I'm paying attention to that and I'm circling it, okay? If you're getting anything for your lunar return ahead, this is important. 29 degrees is something that wants to end or come to a full view in your life. So because it hasn't happened yet, Sizzy, I want to say pay attention also just to home space, just out of curiosity to see how these energies can show up in your life. 29 Leo is an energy that has to do with a masculine energy overall. The Leo energy belongs to the sun. So you want to pay attention to father, you want to pay attention to men in your life, and you want to pay attention to obviously your own light as well. That's the core meaning always from the sun, is you, how you express yourself. So I know there's also something about this month being asked of you, Sizzy, something that is coming to that, right? That culmination of your identity. what you're doing, who you are, and it's a very personal thing. It's triggering your home space, your home life. So it's very, 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 very personal. And there may be things with relationship and men that are going to come as well. But ultimately, because in this classroom we work with the heart, soul, and essence, ultimately this is about you and your light. Okay. Now, the next thing that you said that's interesting to me is that you have your natal, no, your progressed.
Yeah, exactly. My progressed sun is at 2 of Virgo.
Okay, so very quickly to answer your question, what we're counting here is the distance, 29 Leo to 2 Virgo. There is very little distance. I don't care what sign it is, very little distance. So yes, it's very much a conjunction. And that third component that is standing out to me is that your progressed sun is in there. So basically you have a Venus and a sun match. I don't care if it's coming one from the lunar and one from the natal, one from the lunar or one from the progressed, it's still a match. Sometimes it can be your lunar with someone else's lunar. You're doing it with someone else's energy. You want to be cautious with how you use it. We're going to learn how to do it right. But it doesn't matter. If you're connecting one with the other, it's still a match. You're connecting the energy of the sun and Venus together. And I call this the soulmate connection, girl. So this is definitely a relationship theme here that is going to be calling for a make it or break it decision in your life. Do you relate to this at all in any way?
Yes, I do, definitely.
Okay, so there you go. Then it's showing up in your lunar return as a very strong energy, triggering your personal space. Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you for that, Raquel.
You're welcome. Yes, Jen.
About this in the past, for a lunar return chart, are conjunctions to the chart ruler kind of important?
Yes, that was going to be the next thing I was going to teach about ruler, but we're taking it one bite at a time here because we're working with transits as well. I'm not throwing in too many things, but yes, the chart ruler could be the next, but we're not looking at it in this class. Okay. We're not looking at chart rulers this time, but you can get additional information with getting the ruler of your angles and locating the ruler of your angles.
You talked about planets conjunct the angles. Nodes conjunct the angles are also important too, because this month I have some transit conjunct every angle. Yes.
Yeah, you know what? I did too. The last month I had one on every angle too. The coming month I have big ones too on the T-square.
Both the transiting north node and my natal north node on the ascendant descendant.
Yes. So when you see that happening, you can know that those energies are going to be prominent for you. And what you want to do is you want to circle them, pencil them in, and how you may feel may apply to the context you're in. You know, if you're in one situation, these energies are going to unfold in a certain way. And if you're in another situation, these energies will unfold in a different way. But the context is there, for sure.
Maybe a quickie question, just I'm not sure how relevant this all is, but next, like in October 12th is my lunar return for that month. October 11th is going to be my solar return. They're within 24 hours of each other.
Wow. Yes, that's happened.
I know we covered a little bit of that, and there's Vesta is at the end of Leo, which is sort of conjuncting my Leo moon return.
For the solar or for the lunar?
On the lunar on October the 12th, it conjuncts that. And then,
that's beautiful. Yeah, you know, Vesta, and at 29, you said 29 Leo?
26 is Vesta.
26 Vesta? Okay.
26 degrees Leo is Vesta.
Okay. Yeah, this is going to be a re-energizing commitment, right? This is a flame of commitment and devotion in whatever your moon is speaking of. What house is it in for you? Is it a feminine energy or is it a home energy? Or if it's in a public place, it could have to do with your work as well. The moon in a public place could have to do with your work. So those are interesting things to track. And because this energy is very close to your birthday, you're probably also getting it for your solar return, right?
Yeah.
If you're getting the moon and Vesta conjunction also for your solar return, that's very significant for you. You want to pay attention to where that conjunction is happening, what house. And then the ruler, that would be Leo, the sun is going to add information about how those energies of commitment want to be manifested in your life, where and how. Very, very good. And
what is the descendant again?
The descendant is the beginning of the 7th house. So the descendant is the opposite of the ascendant. The ascendant would be here, the starting point of the chart.
What is its significance in the chart, though? The ascendant is the
relationships and others.
Relationships and others.
Yeah, so this is where you're very proactive, that one-on-one, whether it's work-related engagement or your actual romantic and long-term relationships and partnerships. All righty, everyone. Any other questions here? Let me look at
I have a question. So I'm still right now I'm still on my lunar return until the October 12th.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the one that has the transitioning north node at 25 Gemini in my first house and my rising.
Ooh, okay.
And it conjuncts my natal black moon Lilith at 26.
Wow.
And
wow, congratulations.
I'm still alive.
Wow.
But she's been, I mean, I feel like I've been channeling so much her energy. And
I want to share a little bit of how you've been feeling this, because I want to just share something with you. How do you pronounce your name again? Corolla. Okay, because I know one from Canada. She likes to be pronounced Cara, and another one Cara. Okay, Corolla. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. What Corolla's having right now is very significant, because what the combination she's having is a North Node and Black Moon Lilith combination. This is very similar to the example that I gave. Let me stop the share over here so you can see my face. This is a very similar combination that I talked about when I was younger and I was having my super powerful spiritual experiences, and I saw that Black Moon Lilith was with the North Node. Basically, Corolla's having that happen right now. The North Node in the sky transits very slowly, has been in Gemini since May for the world, and has been in that 25 Gemini degree for the last month or so. And that is the degree where Corolla's natal Black Moon Lilith is. So that's an energy that the collective soul direction, the North Node, is pointing to and waking up in her life. Her natal Black Moon Lilith is waking up through the current transits. So this is a very powerful time. And this month, these energies were brought to her ascendant. So as if it's not enough already, like it's already such a prominent thing, this conjunction, they were brought to her ascendant. So this becomes very highlighted, very in focus. And on her ascendant, with the North Node on your ascendant, soul wants you and needs you to focus those energies on you. So please tell us, Corolla, how have you been feeling that?
Well, also I just have to share, because it's also then on my descendant, where the North Node, the South Node is at 25 Sagittarius. My natal Venus is at 29 Sagittarius.
Okay.
So
okay.
That as well.
Venus, so that we have a Venus pairing with the South Node here.
Mm-hmm. And it's opposite. So that's opposite. Yeah.
Black Moon Lilith.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, those are a lot of feminine energies.
Yeah.
Have you been seeing both sides of those energies? The angry women around you or within you, but also the super spiritual experiences?
Yes, super spiritual experience. And I've been on this, and the whole make it break it point is my 8th house.
Okay.
And that's been my theme over, my natal North Node is in the 8th house. So yeah, I've been really,
the 8th house is very esoteric, very magical, very deep.
And so there is that very strong energy that I've been feeling, what has been calling already for quite a while, for a complete change of who I've kind of thought I've been so far. The whole kind of spirituality is coming more and more. Like, I started reading the Akashic records. It's been very every day I'm just like, okay, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, with my whole very like rational kind of like logical background, and
it can feel like death, you know. The Black Moon Lilith
complete.
energy is such an energy of death, and it doesn't have to be physical death only.
I can just very strongly, like, a shedding, and she's very I'm feeling very intuitive, and I don't want to say witchy, but I still like, I feel like I know, I see things, I know what's going to happen next. It's very strong, but also dark, especially at night. I like sometimes wake up and I have these like I feel dark energies and kind of guilt and shame, and I feel it has a lot to do with past lives where I was prosecuted. I feel there's a lot of that coming up as well. I feel very connected to just like the primordial female energy of the high priestess, of the so there's a lot of I feel I'm more out there than here. Like, I'm just like incubating as much as I can, and nothing is supposed to right now, I guess, working in the real world for me. So I feel in that very in that space of just being completely open and letting kind of things happen. And it is, at times it gets a little scary, because I'm like, am I losing grip of reality? But then I look outside what the state of reality is right now, whatever that is. I'm like,
let it go, honey.
That's like, you guys still out there.
We are creating reality right now. Yes, let it go. And this is, I've been talking about this since the nodes change signs in May. For those of you that have been following my videos and my work since then, you know that I've been talking about the energy of the main energy of release this year and in the year to come as well would be a change in our belief structure. The way that we view reality, we view life, our set of truths would undergo drastic transformation. It's part of the cycle. So we're just allowing this to occur because we know that on some level the old wasn't working anymore. So we're creating this momentum and gifting this to ourselves. And the fact that you're experiencing Black Moon Lilith in such a raw and vulnerable way, this is what Black Moon Lilith is all about. It's about the darkness. It's the repressed things coming up at 3 a.m, but it's also that feminine power, that surge, that primordial contact with Mother Earth and our bodies and just everything. You have to allow this rebirth to occur naturally, which you are. But when Black Moon Lilith energy is active, as it is now for the world as it is, and then plus in your natal chart as well, this is an energy corolla that's really wanting to get your attention. So for you, this is very beautiful that you have the system of astrology to help you understand these dynamics.
Thank God.
Right? Because you see it in your first house and you're like, bring it on, baby. Bring it on. You see a conjunct your North Node in the first house, and you know you're supposed to open your arms to it that month.
No, I know, and I am. And then also, I just have to share, because on my IC, it's at 1 Virgo, and my natal Saturn is at 0 Virgo. So that, and then on the MC, it's just interesting that there is right on the exactly on the MC is the goddess Ceres. Ceres or Ceres? How's it pronounced?
Ceres.
Yeah. So it's really the Saturn, like it's that. So I do kind of know that this is a whole shift that the collective is going through. That just Mother Gaia, she's like the feminine. There's this whole awakening process happening. What it is right now is just that patriarchal kind of war that is happening, and there's that part, and I feel that is coming through of, oh my God, here we go again through, like, we've been there before. It's like that complete breakdown of the
Yes,
yeah.
I know what you mean, and we've been there before, even in history cycles.
Exactly, that's what I feel. It's like like a remembrance. Like I feel there's a remembrance. Like what I see how people are like fighting, and the darkness and just the hatred.
Yes.
And it's like, so I know we have to go through that, but it's at the same time there is, I think, there is just that sadness of that complete destruction that is kind of right now.
Yeah, we do. Part of us does feel the mourning, the mourning of the old world, the old identities, the old relationships, the old lives we used to live. And it is also a very collective mourning process that we are going through and feeling with each other. So it's very real. I get that. It is a very vulnerable and raw and real process. But through this, it's also allowing us to discover new parts of who we are, of our potential as humanity, and our next steps moving forward too. And at the end of the day, all you can do is focus on you. Maybe you can't take care of the world and make sure that everybody does all those specific choices, but you can focus on you. And as you do, you are doing the only thing that you need to do. And you're preparing yourself for those energies moving forward. The energies are changing. Black Moon Lilith is entering Taurus. Let's go here and check again the date, because I didn't get the exact date. So let me see. Let me go to the transits on this one. So here we are. Black Moon Lilith is in Aries right now. And it's going to end.
Oh my God, I'm just realizing she's going to
October
hit my
21st.
natal Chiron, which is at 1 Taurus.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So these are all energies, because it's going to be activating. When Black Moon Lilith enters Taurus, this is going to be October 21st or October 20th, one of the two. And when it does that, it's going to change the script for the world. Here, collectively, for those that are interested in collective world events, this is going to start bringing a lot of the energy of repression or wanting to come out that have to do a lot with the sex factor. Expect to start hearing a lot of scandals, sex, underground, perhaps even, things related to, other stuff that is all coming out now. From government, corporations, church, all these backstages, government, institution, educational systems, Hollywood, those type of things are going to be in focus, especially when Black Moon Lilith conjuncts Uranus. And this is where you can have an upper hand as well, because as you see Black Moon Lilith coming closer and closer to Uranus, look at this over here. November, it's going to start already getting hotter and hotter and hotter. November can be a time where, we're going to see a lot of unexpected news and things come to pass. And then December, it's going to be very, very, very strong. I'm also associating this a lot with the economy, just because Uranus has been paving the way in economy for a few years now. And Black Moon Lilith, I think, is going to be one of the big, I personally think it's going to be like that reality check for the world. Like right now, everyone's so busy trying to survive and fight and vote and like doing those type of primordial things here. But that after that is all over, there's going to be the reality check. Okay, now we're here. It's Christmas. The year is over. What do we have to look for in 2021? The future looks bleak. Okay, that's what a lot of people are going to be thinking. That's going to be exactly when Black Moon Lilith is going to be conjunct Uranus. That's going to be the reality check. There may be some, economy or just sexual things related as well around that time coming up. Venus is going to be in Sagittarius. Okay, so Venus in Sagittarius, there's going to be a lot of big names coming up here, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. This is going to be a lot of the political sphere organizing itself and things like that. It's going to be even more than on an individual level. But on an individual level, when this happens, this is going to be really good for exploring the Black Moon Lilith energy within the context of relationships. Okay? Whether it's actual work, like meetings, gatherings, whatever, you have like a women's group or something that you're, holding, and you are helping everyone navigate through these energies and understand these energies better, or whether you are actually exploring the esoteric side of Black Moon Lilith energy with a partner or by yourself, or this is where a lot of powerful activations are going to happen as well with this energy. So understanding this dynamic lets you understand what we're looking at here with the progression of the cycles. So right now, Carola, you're dealing with a lot of Black Moon Lilith energy in your life, but in December, the Black Moon Lilith is going to be active for you in a totally different way. Maybe you're going to start working with it at that point, or maybe you're going to start working with it within yourself in a different way. Very different than in Aries. And so we can kind of foresee these things lining up for us and coming into play before they happen. So yeah, that's going to change the script. And then the big factor is when Mars joins them, okay? For all of you out there, this is going to be this over here. January, a month later. This here is, I'd say, the final biggest, I think this is the last bam that we're going to feel, that this is going to be a big energy, especially because it's going to be in a square with the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius. So, I see these energies, I've been talking about these energies, they really culminate February, March. By April, May of next year, they're already much calmer. So I think 2021 is really where we start to pick up the pieces, and the reality check is going to hit. Definitely going to hit on by December. By the end of November, December, I think everyone's going to be like, oh my God, what just happened? What was 2020 all about? And that's going to be where Black Moon Lilith is going to be in Taurus. So, and then these energies are going to really be picking up again until January, February in a square with the social dynamic. So that's why these energies, we have to let them play out and keep looking at our participation individually, what our process is individually with this, and how we can, really work with them and also assist humanity in whatever level we are ready and willing to, through this as we navigate through it. All righty, guys. Any final questions here before we close? And I'm sure most of you have noticed that our lunar return sessions now are being more of a morning event instead of just an hour. This is not a weekly class. This is a substantial monthly look at your month ahead. So this is becoming more of like a monthly, almost half a day event that we are having here. Because you can definitely go back, dissect this session, a lot of information that was shared that can help you navigate this month, any other month in your future transits, and also any other chart that you're working with a lot of these techniques. It's a lot of information here.
One quickie question, just in trying to track Raquel on the internet. It's a little challenging. I know you've had all those questions about where are you, where's the links and all that sort of stuff. So I had a thought about just Raquel's calendar. Can like a Google type calendar, something, whatever. I thought I gave that thought to Myra as well.
Yes.
Just so we can follow you. Just so we I hit you on my phone here, boom, like that, and I don't have to ask you and bother you with all those questions, and all those other people are saying, "Where are you, Raquel? We're missing you."
Oh,
and those types of things. So it's just like, am I missing out on something? Where can I find?
So I sent my schedule a few weeks ago, like maybe a month ago, I think, to all of you.
Saw that. But
so that was
those?
Sorry.
I'm just wondering, like, where are those things? Are those going to be your YouTube channel? Are those going to be your, what I mean? Like,
yeah. So, okay. So let me just explain to you that the idea with that schedule was just to kind of give you like a more or less, look, this is what we're looking at here, especially for our classes and get-togethers. We are going to be flexible here with certain things as they come up, but we are going to keep the same schedule of November. We're going to start to synthesize charts in addition to the lunar returns. It's all staying the same. And the intention for that schedule was for you mainly to have an idea of the content that I'm giving. Okay, so just before I answer your question, because this is very important too. Because I know one of you actually were asking where this week's content was, because this week I was already supposed to upload the content for the mentorship, right? We have 5 lessons missing for the archetypes to finish that. So I am going to upload one once a week. However, most of you were asking me not to do it the same week that I do the lunar returns because it's such a big class. So we're going to space them out. We're going to have one. So the next week I'll be posting the videos one a week. I'll send it by email, send these instructions by email so you can have it clear. But just for you to know, in November, we really do begin our synthesizing of everything we have learned together. So I sent a rough draft by email to everyone, but the intention was to create, like Paul suggesting, an actual Google Calendar or something more official. And that was going to be something that's going to be on my website, or just a place more official where you can have access to whenever you need. However, I had a few delays with my website. I had to make it or break it on my midheaven, and that didn't happen yet. So I didn't even create the calendar yet. But I want you to know, how can we do this? Maybe I'll send it. I'll do an updated calendar and send it to everyone by email for now. And I'll post where we're going to have each one. Because if you notice, 2 of them are the free ones. The full moon and the new moon videos are the free videos I do. Okay. And then the private ones are the lunar return workshops. And now we're going to start synthesizing charts. It's going to be an additional class we're going to have once every month. So those 2 are private and always going to be done through Zoom. You're going to receive your link for, just like you did with this. And then the other 2 free ones are one on YouTube and the other one in the Astrology Lover community. But just to answer your question, I will send that to everyone. Okay.
Last question. So when you have a transit conjuncting an angle but coming from the house before, you take both houses into account, correct?
It depends. So if it's 3 degrees before or less, we talked about this on the last class, I believe. It's considered already in the next house.
So if I have Venus conjunct my transiting Venus conjunct lunar return IC by like 2.5 degrees, it's already considered for the house. And if I
yes,
my moon conjunct the MC by 3 degrees, it's already considered.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's already considered there. Or at the very least, it's an energy coming from the 9th house or coming from the 3rd house, wanting to gain momentum on your MC. Wanting to gain momentum on your IC. Yes.
The moon.
And you especially want to take that into consideration if it's on your ascendant. Very important, because if you have an energy coming from the 12th house but conjunct your ascendant, it's an energy that wants to and needs to come out in an obvious way for you, but the tendency is to be more in the back burner and not notice it. So you want to be aware of it and want to notice that it's supposed to come out that month for you. Okay, you're so welcome, Corolla. You're so welcome. And there are, if you have to leave already, we're going to be wrapping up soon. You're welcome to go. Please do watch the replay for the parts you missed, because there's a lot of good information in here. And there's definitely information to keep you busy for a whole month. So this was a very good one with focus on the angles for everybody and the angular houses as being energies that are prominent for your month. If you're working with a solar return chart, these are energies that are prominent for your year and even stronger than a lunar return. Remember, lunar returns are quick, they're fast, they're not that big of a deal. as much as a solar return. If you get to make it or break it on your solar return IC, wow, that is a turning point year for you. On your lunar return, it's an energy that will be impactful, but definitely much less. Any final words?
Yeah, just don't break yourself. Stay in good shape because we need you.
Why? What do I have again? I don't even remember.
We just don't want you to get all overwhelmed and start.
Oh yes, with all the
break
energies.
Yeah.
That's so sweet, Paul. Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
How sweet to be concerned like that for
You're a great resource
our
for all of
rhythm
us.
as well.
You like that.
Thank you, Paul, and you guys too. You know, these energies are. I wrote Paul the other day because I had a session with him also a few days. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to have sessions with me, send an email to my sister, okay? Because she's scheduling my final sessions for the year now, and I think I have a few slots left for November. So go ahead and message her. But I did it. So I did a reading with Paul, and we were just talking about these energies that are just so intense and culminating. I wrote Paul the other day. I'm like, Paul, you're still alive. Don't worry. It's just 2 months. Like, we're doing it. Same thing for all of you.
I've had some of the most horrific physical clearings and cleansings that are just such great blessings for me.
Oh my
Horrible to go through, but they feel great when they're done. Right.
And this is purging that's happening from every pore of our being and the planet. It's incredible. So it's going to be really exciting to see how these energies play out. I mean, even, for example, that Black Moon Lilith and Black Moon Lilith in Taurus conjunct Uranus. I'm really curious to see what that's going to bring for the world, even more than when it was conjunct Chiron earlier in the year in Aries. In Uranus, it's coming from the cosmos, full of charge, full of activations, full of sudden, something's going to happen. And I'm getting that pairing, that conjunction of Black Moon Lilith and Uranus on the following lunar return for me, the December one, on my ascendant, guys. Okay? So it's like these energies really want me to feel them firsthand, like really powerful. I'm excited. I don't know what's going to come, but we are navigating through these different parts of ourselves, and I feel like we're having the opportunity to experience them and then express them in a new maturity level. So congratulations, everyone, for being open to them and understanding the bigger picture in all of this, for holding space, like Sharon, who just lost her father and is in a very delicate situation with her siblings as well. And so many of you that are navigating these energies in such a powerful way that it really, really, really is demanding of us that extra level of maturity and wisdom. But once we get there, right, Corolla? Once we get there, it's that empowered expression. So 2021, here we come. Whatever that holds for us. Okay, everyone, we're going to sign out for today's class. I will be sharing some bonus here or there with my lunar return. Oh, this is how it's playing out. How is it playing out in yours? Pay attention to that. This is coming up here. Pay attention to your angles. They speak very loudly. Very loudly. Pay attention to Black Moon Lilith as she transitioned from Aries into Taurus. Watch the world, watch yourself. It may take a few weeks for this energy to settle in. Remember, Taurus is a fixed sign. Energies can manifest a little later. Just something to take into consideration. And we will, let me see here my calendar just to see what's next. November, no, we're in October. We're not in November yet. Okay, so next week, I don't have anything here in my schedule. Is it? Oh no. Okay, next week it's supposed to be a new moon video. Okay, so the new moon video is going to be on Facebook. The new moon video is going to be next Saturday, 8:30 in the morning on the Facebook group, the Astrology Lovers, okay? But I also will release the next archetype next week because that's you're not getting any new lessons. So that's going to be that for you. And then I will send the rest over by email, the rest of the schedule, so you can have with you. Okay, we're going to continue having one new video release a week until we finish the archetypes. And we have our next lunar return gathering here on the 31st. Saturday, the 31st of this month, it's also going to be a full moon. That's when our next gathering is here, okay?
Astrology Lovers Classroom next Saturday.
Yes. Lots of love to all. Let's see if anybody else here. All right, everyone's all set. If you have any questions about anything that I have shared here that I have not answered, send an email, okay? Send an email to my sister. She'll gather the questions for me, and we can cover them and make sure that all your questions are answered.